Hey, Queens.
I'm Alyssa,
I'm Stephanie
and together we bring you Flower Dreams.
and Trauma Queens.
We are so excited to be here with you guys today. It's been a long time coming. We put a lot of work into this. And with that being said, we would just like to say that we are in no way on this earth professionals at videoing or editing or any of that. So we do apologize if it comes off a little janky in the first one. It just, it kind of just is what it is. We would rather get our video out than for it to look perfect. However, along the way, we are going to work with editing and all of that, and the videos will look better. Trust. Just bear with us if you could, and just be patient.
Yes.
We appreciate your patience, definitely. So, now our name, you could say it's a little unique. We came up with it together, and the flower dreams part, it does have a story behind it from our childhood. So,
Oh, guess that's where I come in. So yeah, we have always had a really close bond as I was only about 9 when she was born. So we got pretty close, and growing up, we did a lot of things together. One of those being we used to walk out our very long driveway. We used to live out in the country, and we would always pick flowers, daisies, as a matter of fact, and I put them behind our ears, and her being her cute little self decided to call us flower cousins. And at the time it was just a cute little nickname, but it stuck, and here all these years later we still call each other flower cousins, so much so that we decided to get matching tattoos, daisies. And so
However,
yeah.
don't look too close at them because they
Yeah.
were not well done. So,
Nothing's perfect.
yeah, definitely so, definitely so.
So yeah, that's where it came from.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Um, okay, so we are, like we said, this is like our intro video, our first video. So we are just going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and I guess I'm going to start. So my name's Alyssa. I'm 24. I live in Ohio. I have a boyfriend. We've been together for about 3 months now, and it's going really well. He's a really good partner, very supportive. She approves.
Yes.
So, and my niece and nephew approve. So those are, most important people. He is a great guy, and he's definitely helped me along my journey of, all the trauma based on our name. So, anyway, a little bit about me. I dealt with anxiety and depression from a pretty young age, I would say. I remember having anxiety in elementary school, but I didn't know what it was. I always felt like something was setting on my chest. I honestly felt like I was dying. I was kind of a hypochondriac as a child, a little bit, slightly. She could probably
A little
attest.
bit.
Yeah, a little tiny bit. But yeah, so I have dealt with mental health problems such as, anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, stuff like that. I've also went through some pretty traumatizing stuff in my life. I'm sure we all have. One of the things being my husband passed away in January of 2022, and he was in a car accident, and it completely changed my entire life, obviously. But it really just brought to head all of my past issues. The trauma in my childhood, my eating disorder, just everything kind of came to a head. And I think I just realized at that point, like, life is short. And I think I always kind of knew that to an extent, but when you lose somebody so young that you expect to spend forever with, it really just amplifies. Like, life is short. You need to start doing what you want to do. And I've just been so afraid of what people will think, or just a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser, very much so.
Guilty.
Yeah, maybe it just runs in the family, who knows. But I'm done doing that. At least it's not that easy. I know it's not that easy, but I think with us starting this YouTube channel, it's just, in a way, just reiterating that we are trying to live for us, and we are in turn using our struggles to help other people out there. So, yeah, I feel like if I can help one person through their grieving journey or their journey with anxiety or depression, then it's going to be worth it. And so, I guess that was a little bit about me and also why I wanted to start the YouTube journey. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So, once again, I'm Stephanie, and I am 33 years old, and I live in Ohio. And I am a mother of two. I have a 7-year old and a 6-year old, and I'm married to my very best friend. We've been married for 13 years now, been together for 16, over half our lives together. Um, we've built a beautiful life, but a beautiful life doesn't come paved in gold. Especially our beautiful life. It didn't. It's built with love and chaos. So, but growing up, even before I became an adult, I struggled with lots of issues that at the time, being a small child and a teenager and every age in between, I didn't realize what it was. So I couldn't put a name to it. I couldn't put, what it was. So therefore, I just bottled it all up and was like, oh no, we're not going to talk about that. Because it was easier. So I thought, until I became an adult and realized that what I was struggling with, there is a name for it. There's lots of names for lots of things out there. And so that is one of the main reasons that when we came up with this idea that I threw in there, was that, a lot of people growing up, when you're a small child, especially in the generation we grew up in, was, most things weren't talked about. So we kind of want to shed a light on that. And, we want to talk about the taboo things. We want to talk about the things that everyone keeps hush hush. And so if we could share our stories, and if it even only helps one person out there, then it'll be worth it. And our main goal is to shed light on those things that are kept quiet, and to share our stories and the things we have come up with to along the way to healing ourselves. And while it's a beautiful journey, it is full of lots of ups and lots of downs. But I think a support system is what is necessary. And I myself have always been there for this one. Ever since she was born, I kind of just took her under my wing and pretty much helped raise her. And she's just everywhere I was, she was. And but as an adult, me and my husband decided to move to Florida about almost 7 years ago now. And it truly broke my heart to be that far away from my best friend. But throughout the years, we never lost touch. We kept in touch, and every time we came back for a visit, we always came back, and we were always just like we had never left. And now that we're back, we moved back just this past year in July. Um, and now that we're back, we got closer than ever. And we just wanted to do something to, to not only help ourselves in our relationship, but also to help others. And, by combining our forces basically here together, I think that, we can make that possible. So
I'm just sick of neat little boxes. Like, life is anything but
bust them
neat.
open.
It's messy. And we are here to bust open the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we don't want to offend anyone. That's not what we're here for. But
No.
we are here to basically just talk about the things that people don't seem to want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, we did decide to pick a topic for today, even though this is an intro video, just to kind of give you guys a little insight as to what, we want to talk about on the video, or not on the video, I'm sorry, on the channel, and so to speak. So today, the topic that we chose was premarital sex. So we both grew up in pretty religious households. And there's no hate for that. I am not at all saying that your religion does not matter. Not at all. This is a safe place. We definitely want to stress that it's not just a safe place for us, but it's a safe place for all of you. Even if you don't agree with what we're saying, I'd love to hear, like comments. And it seems like when you're more open to other people's views, your life is just enriched so much more.
Oh, yeah.
I am not saying, like, I'm trying to think of the word. Like, I am pretty set in what I believe in. I feel like I'm pretty set for the most part in things that I believe in. However, whenever I've opened my heart up and, like, not talked and just listened to somebody, I have been able to look at things so differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a beautiful thing to be able to live in a world where people can just agree to disagree.
Yeah, I agree. Like sometimes I think it helps to actually look at it from someone else's perspective.
Hmm.
Because when you're always only looking at it from your perspective, then you're never going to see any other view. And to me, it's important to see other people's views. It doesn't mean it's going to change your mind, it doesn't mean it's going to change your opinion, but I think it's healthy to see
Hmm.
other sides of it because that's one thing we weren't afforded growing up. We were one-sided. That was it. We got to hear one view, one opinion, and once again, not bashing anyone. I loved my parents. Still do. But it is hard. It is hard to grow up in a household that you don't get to form your own opinion. And I think it's important as adults. Everyone's fighting over opinions, but at the same time, to me, in my opinion, once again, just an opinion, everyone should be entitled to one.
Hmm.
And you should be able to feel the way you feel, and you should be able to voice that
Hmm.
without feeling judged.
Absolutely. And just to build off of that, I love my mom. We have a pretty good relationship. And so I'm not in any means bashing. I do feel like, in a way, I'm not saying that, like, it's just okay to forgive and forget if your parents have hurt you or made mistakes that have significantly impacted your life. But I think at times it is important to give grace
Mm-hmm.
because they're learning too. And
Yes.
I'm not a parent yet. I haven't been blessed with children yet. But I think that you could attest to that. Like, as a
Mm-hmm.
parent, you're learning every day.
Every day.
So even though there are some things that, are hard to move past, and I don't know if, um, you can get past them. I just think that it is important to try to give everybody as much grace as you can.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to the topic that we chose. So, like I said, we both grew up in pretty religious households. And so when the subject of sex came up, I will say my mom was very vocal. Like, she talked about it with me and stuff. But I do feel like it was always stressed after you're married. This happens between two people after they're married, after you're married, after you're married. And that was just like nailed into my head.
Yep.
And so when I did eventually grow up and have sex, I had a lot of shame attached to sex. And it's just, in my opinion, and like I said, I'm going to say this very seriously, between two consenting adults, consent is very important. Between two consenting adults, sex is a really beautiful thing and it's a great part of life. And that's my stand on it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I think that if you want to wait till you're married, great. I've known people that have done that and it's
Mm-hmm.
worked for them and they're still married to their spouse and they love them and they have a great marriage. More power to you. I mean, I think that if you want to do that, then that is a great thing. I think that if you decide that you are in love with somebody and you don't want to wait till you're married, more power to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were brave enough to make that choice.
Yeah, and as long as you're smart about it, and like she said, the main word here is consent because I don't feel like that's talked about enough.
Hmm.
Because I don't know about you, but that word not hardly ever came up in conversation because it was always just about make sure it's your husband, the love of your life, the one
Hmm.
husband you'll ever have, blah blah. Um, and while she said, it is a beautiful thing, that's not for everybody.
Hmm.
And to be made to feel like you're less than or that, you're this bad person because you broke the rule, I just don't think that's okay. I don't think it's fair to young girls or boys to be made to feel that way. Because to me, I would rather my son and daughter to be taught consent
Hmm.
and um, that they have a choice, that it should be their choice.
Hmm.
I think that to me is more important than whether they're married or not. And to each their own. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to raise their kids differently. These are just some of the things that I wish I had been told about whenever I was a young girl.
And not only consent, but just like on top of that, like, how about we stop telling young people in general? Now, I know a lot of times it is girls. I will say that, but I'm sure men, boys, they struggle with it too, depending on what your household is like. I think that we should stop telling them that you're ruined just
Mm-hmm.
because you have sex. And what happens if you have sex with the wrong person? Because personally, I'm going to get really personal. I did. the first person that I shared that experience with, and it's sad, was not a good person. And he did not treat me well. He didn't care about me. And it was almost like I was like, oh my goodness, I shared this with him. I have to stay with him now. And so I think it put me to stay in a relationship longer than I should have. And not just that, like it just made me feel like my life was over. I literally remember feeling like that. Like I remember feeling like who is going to want to be with somebody who has already given that away. And I'm sorry, but just because you're not a virgin doesn't make you any less of a person.
Not by any means.
But I do think that it did cause a lot of shame. And it's just shame is one of the biggest things I have found with so many things in life. But I found that because of shame, so many people choose to not get better. They choose to stay in relationships. And I'm done with it. I will never, if I am blessed with kids one day, I will never, or just my niece and nephew, I will never make them feel like they're less than because they had sex with somebody and it didn't work out. And I just think that it's so important to remember that you're worthy regardless of the mistakes that you make.
Exactly. I think it's important for us as adults to make sure that we are guiding our children up, and not even just our own, but anyone who trusts us with their children.
Mhm.
Because I myself am a mother of two, but anyone who leaves their child with me, I'm going to love and protect that child as if it was my own.
Exactly.
And the people that I trust to have my children, I expect the same from them. Which is also why I have a very short list. But
luckily, I'm on the list.
Exactly.
I'm approved.
But, I think that it's important that we teach and guide our children to grow up in a world that, while it's so full of chaos and so full of hate right now, that we need to be the light. We need to be the love. We need to show them that not everyone out there is bad. Mm-hmm. That, there are good people left, and that while we focus on such small things, we're looking at the bigger picture here, and that's what we all need to do. We all need to look at the bigger picture. And when it comes to sex, it's like so insignificant on the greater scale of things that most people just pretend like it doesn't exist. It stays behind closed doors, and we don't talk about it, and we just pretend like it doesn't happen. And why?
And also I was thinking as she was saying that, I think that if I had been able to talk to somebody who I truly trusted, when I was younger and I started having sex, I was very naive. Obviously, most of us are, and I wasn't with a good partner, and there was so much about it that wasn't normal. And I'm not going to go into detail, but there was just so much that it, when I got older and I shared with, for instance, like Stephanie or my mom or any adult woman in my life, they were horrified because it wasn't normal. So it's just like, it could have saved me so much if I didn't feel ashamed and I could have went and talked to somebody. And so I just don't want anyone else to ever feel like that. I want to create a safe space. And my niece and nephew know it's always a safe place here. Luckily, they're lucky enough to have that at home too. So it's not like they have to like come run away to my house, but it's just I feel so fortunate to be able to give them a safe place at my house to where they can feel free to tell me anything.
Yeah, because I know growing up that you came to me with a lot of things that you would have never dreamed about coming to your mom with, and it's like, while I want my children to be able to come to me, I also love the fact that I know that they have people in their lives that they know they can trust. Mm-hmm. And it's that I'm jealous of my children. Because I wish I could have had that growing up. So yeah, I think that is very important to me to be. I have prided myself on being the least judgmental person that you'll ever know. Mm-hmm. Because if you name something, I've probably been there, done that. And even if I haven't, I'm still not going to throw any judgment your way, because guess what? At the end of the day, we're all human. Mm-hmm. and we all have our own wants, we all have our own needs, and everyone's different. And you are who was responsible for you at the end of the day. Not me, not her, not anyone else, only you. So who am I to judge?
And I just want to reiterate by saying we're not at all in any means bashing our family members.
Mm-mm.
Nothing like that. I love all of my family. And I do think that for the most part, we were all raised a certain way. I don't hold any animosity
None.
towards anybody. At least I try really hard not to. I have my days. But for the most part, I'm just saying like this all is coming out of a place of respect. I would never sit here and disrespect my family. I wouldn't be here without them.
No, there's no disrespect to be had, because the things that I have learned since becoming a parent is that it's hard. I mean, it's really hard some days, and I'm not perfect. My mom wasn't perfect. Her mom isn't. None of us are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, but they coined the term, know better, do better, and to me, a lot of previous generations, they honestly didn't know much better, but it's up to us now to know better, do better for the future generations.
Exactly.
So that's the reason that I will never hold any disrespect for our previous generations, because they just did what they thought they had to do. And not to mention, I'm responsible for me. I have to make my own choices. I don't get to sit back and say, oh, well, because this happened when I was 5. It don't matter. Yes, it sucks. Yes, I've had to deal with things that happened as a child. But at the end of the day, as an adult now, I have to make my own choices. I don't get to blame everyone else.
And that's a hard place to get to. It really is, because, when you're having a bad day and you get triggered by something, it's easy to say, well, I had a traumatic childhood. Well, this happened. Well, okay, but you can do better. And I totally think that it's okay and reasonable to have a bad day when you're triggered by something. And I think that it's important to communicate that with the people around you. But in no means should you make that an excuse.
Exactly.
Because I've had people say, well, I'm sorry, but.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're going to say, I'm sorry, but just don't apologize.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very real person. I try to be anyway. I strive. I'm growing. And I just want everyone to be like that with me. But anyway, I feel like we've rambled quite a bit. And we hope that you enjoyed our little discussion. We are hoping to release a video every week from now on. If for some reason we have a week where we can't, or, like maybe she'll just upload or I'll just upload, we will try to communicate that as best as we can. If you could click and subscribe, we would appreciate it.
Very much.
Yeah. We plan to discuss topics like we discussed tonight. If you guys would like to leave us comments.
Yeah, feel free to drop in the comments if you have any certain subject you would like us to touch on. And maybe from time to time, we'll pick some out of the comments and go over them. Like we said, this is a safe space.
Or if you have any questions.
Off the table.
Yeah. Or if you have any questions. Yep. Questions, comments, any of it, you can list below, and we will try our best to go through the comments and, choose topics that we're, comfortable with. I feel like we're pretty open people, and we'll talk about most things, but there's got to be boundaries somewhere.
Of course.
So, not saying that we'll discuss everything, but we're pretty open people, so I feel like this channel could get very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, we are just very happy for the people that stayed this long through the cringy, through the unedited, through the possible microphone sounds, which I'm hoping that we fix.
The real us.
Right. So, as always, queens, stay safe.
And stay classy.
And we will see you next week. Thank you.